How can a healthy person who's, he was 70 years old, die in 3 months from brain cancer that is not genetically in our family, not from anything? He was on Suboxone for quite a while and other antidepressants and other things. It's a mixture. It's a cocktail of all these different prescription drugs that they give you. Take this to counteract this. But Suboxone was the worst out of all of them.
And now they admit drug overdoses are exploding from prescription drugs across the United States.
Oh, yeah. My mom told me one time, because Suboxone was sublingual, so it's like the Listerine strips. You just put it on your tongue, and it goes straight into your bloodstream. She said she gave my dad a kiss, and he forgot to tell her that he just took it. That drug knocked my mom out for 4 hours. She couldn't move. Now, these people take it daily. What do you think it's doing to them?
And she just got a fraction of it.
Oh, yeah, just a little. Can you imagine what somebody with a weapon, any weapon, is going to do when they're on that drug? It's not them. It's not the person that they really are. It's being masked. It's being controlled. It's being just, it's obliterating anything that they are. But it's okay. It's good for you.
And the very same government that is controlled by Big Pharma, itself owned by big mega banks, are shipping in the major narcotics. And then it destroys our society just like the drug wars destroyed Mexico. It's not that we're for these drugs. The drug pushers made the drugs illegal to make larger profits off of it. Well, I'm sorry about your father, but your warning certainly will help others. Thank you so much, Joe Jennings.
Thanks, Alex.
We have Jesse Ventura joining us. I had Reverend Childress on of blackgenocide.org yesterday. His insight was so powerful. I'm inviting him back on the third hour today, blackgenocide.org. He's coming up today, and we'll open the phones up. I apologize for not getting to those calls yesterday. I really do. I see a story that's a Rosetta Stone. I talk a lot about that, a decoding article that takes you deep into what's happening. Later in the broadcast, I will get into this Bloomberg article that's linked up on Infowars.com that is so important. They try to make a joke out of it in Bloomberg. There's a pile of gold in Manhattan. Texas wants it back. Texas is to repatriate $1 billion of gold bullion, 5,600 bars of precious metal. They go on to say Texas is stable, and we're doing this to show that we can, go read it. Basically stabilize the state during a collapse. The Russians and Chinese want their gold back out of the, quote, Federal Reserve vaults, the private Federal Reserve vaults. And they make it a Texas versus the North thing. Texas wants its gold back from the Yankees, wherever they're keeping it. Governor Greg Abbott signed a law last week to build a depository for 5,600 bars of the precious metal. As he said in a statement, repatriate $1 billion of gold from the Federal Reserve in New York. See, Abbott knows the Federal Reserve's private. He's a patriot. He's anti-New World Order. They hate him. We've never had a governor like this, not in the whole history of Texas, because they didn't need to be anti-New World Order before there wasn't a total takeover. This is a big deal. They really hate the governor, and he needs serious security. I know he does have it, but they know he's for real, folks, and they know he knows what's going on. I got one of his billionaire associates in here the other day, and he was on air, and he wouldn't go all the way talking about the governor and the stuff, but I know other sources with the governor as well. I've met the governor before, and I also run into his chief of staff quite a bit, but none of that's an issue. The point is, he knows what's going on, and a lot of Texas lawmakers know what's going on, and they don't want to sell the country out. They know the plan is to collapse the country into a depression. They want prosperity. They want freedom. They want Americana. They're not bad people. And it's getting clearer and clearer that this is happening, but they spin it like Texas doesn't like New York. That gold doesn't help New York City. It's in the private Federal Reserve bank vaults. The Federal Reserve is over 60% foreign owned. It's not federal. I know I keep saying that, but just everything they do is a lie. And here's the word. More and more gold that's been expatriated out of New York vaults turns out to be gold-plated tungsten that weighs the same as gold. It's atomic weight. So there's a major scandal here, and that's exactly what our different guests have been talking about, how they're trying to ban physical gold in the EU and stuff, starting in Spain, because the world is getting ready to melt down. We've never been closer. Ron Paul's on CNBC today. Let me give you the exact quote. I've got it here. Just saying that we're on the edge. Can't find it. I read the actual quote earlier. It's on screen. Ron Paul, stock market day of reckoning is near. You bet it is. We're on top of a big, fat house of cards, and the globalists are scurrying around robbing what they can here in the end game. I mean, this is a crazy time. This is where we're going to find out who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. Separately, it's more important than ever, and I want to thank you for your support of Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV shows, all we do in this fight. You've got our commitment to go 110%. Dealing with the First Amendment, really unprecedented, coming up in the next segment with former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. We'll get his take on the situation in South Carolina, the tragic shootings, this 9 dead that took place Wednesday night, and the aftermath of that. We'll look at the situation in the Middle East. We'll look at French invent robots to replace border police. There's, again, another massive move to open up the borders right now. It's already been done with executive action where they're trying to ram that through Congress. I got really happy about this, but I said the fight was coming up again next week. While we were busy diverted by the tragic events in South Carolina, America came inches closer, because we're only a few inches away from being conquered by the TPP. I mean, this is a total takeover of everything in our country, basically, by foreign shadowy groups and a secret treaty. It is just so awesome, in a bad way, what they're getting away with. House approves fast track 218 to 208. I saw that in the afternoon yesterday, and it was like in the pit of my stomach. I just felt nauseated. I had Larry Nichols on, former top Clinton insider. And I wasn't feeling so much defeated, just sad that we're so conquered, and it's getting so much worse. And the rapacious, predatory, vicious hatred of prosperity and freedom that the criminal class has that's in control. And just to know that, man, we either rout these people and push them back and prosecute them and bring them to justice, or it's just all going to collapse. And we've reached that point. We can't go much further because the bottom's dropping out. The House on Thursday took the first step towards resurrecting the White House trade agenda. It's not trade, it's a takeover. But see, the lapdog media goes along with that by passing legislation granting President Obama fast-track authority. The bill now goes to the Senate, where the White House and GOP leaders are seeking to strike a deal with pro-trade Democrats. It's not trade. The whole article is written to deceive. The House vote 218 to 208 with 28 Democrats voting for it. This is the second time in a week the House has voted to approve the controversial fast-track bill. And when you fail, just do it again. On Friday, the House voted 219 to 211 in favor of fast track, which would make it easier for Obama to complete the sweeping Trans-Pacific trade deal. In last week's vote, the GOP parried with fast track bill with the measure known as Trade Adjustment Assistance, TAA, that gives aid to workers displaced by trade. Oh, here's some money for retraining, but you're going to lose your job forever. Here's your last meal. Both measures needed to be approved in the separate votes for the entire package to move forward. House Democrats have historically favored TAA, but they voted against it Friday to kill fast track, which is deeply opposed by unions and other liberal groups. Yeah, unions have already sold themselves out to NAFTA and GATT and other things, and they're pretty much compromised and controlled and, you know, support gun control and open borders and all sorts of suicidal behavior. But now at the end, they get a secret bill we can't read and 3 sections of it that, if leaked, say that foreign groups will dictate everything. No, we've got to reverse this. And that's now basically what's happened. Again, if you're a TV viewer or a radio listener, you can go to Infowars.com/show and be a TV viewer. It's free. You can see I've got 2 HDfirearms.com, super high quality, but also affordable 5.56 rifles. And we just have these out here today because the new attack on guns is here. let it be known that the next shoe to drop is now dropping. The trial balloons are done. The new assault with legislation and executive orders to restrict the Second Amendment is on. And we'll talk to former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura about that, about openly funding al-Qaeda, about the buildup for war with Russia, about a huge, massive attack on the First Amendment. That's why he's really joining us. And so much more. Election 2016, the shootings happening around the country. It's all coming up with Jesse Ventura. But now I am in FEMA Region 6, formerly Texas. We are under global government. The TPP has passed the House, set to pass the Senate. Liberals, conservatives across the board, from the unions to the Tea Party that have gotten the subsections through WikiLeaks, say it's the end of sovereignty as we know it. It makes the president a dictator. It gives him unlimited power over trade, borders, taxes, guns, you name it. And it says in there they'll do this. So while we were all focused on the tragic shooting in South Carolina in Charleston, this was rammed through yesterday. And while we were busy doing that, they were putting in internet kill switches, and the FCC was declaring power over the web and saying they're planning to tax it and regulate it and control free speech. There is a move towards totalitarianism everywhere. The Prime Minister of England came out a month ago and said, we're not going to put up with people's free speech anymore, in a chilling statement. Corruption and tyranny is accelerating because the globalists are taking over, and they've committed so many crimes, it's all or nothing. They're going for broke. I've known Jesse Ventura for about 8-9 years, and I've been part of 3 seasons or 2 seasons of his hit TV show. I've got to know him pretty well, traveled around the country with him, friends with his son as well. And he's the real deal. He's a real guy who doesn't compromise, and who, even though I disagree with him probably on 10-15% of his political views, I admire him because he sticks to his guns, and he'll be the same today as he was a year ago, as he'll be in 5 years. He doesn't waffle, and that's why he's demonized. It's why they ran the hit piece with the late Chris Kyle, rest in peace, the family's now made, and then, well, the overall book and film have made hundreds of millions of dollars, and the book was a fiction when it came to the Jesse Ventura part, and a jury found that it was defamation, found that it was a fraud. That's very hard to do, especially when you're a public figure, but it was done with the intent of making money off defaming Ventura. It rose above that level. There's now been a demonization campaign of Ventura, obviously because they don't want him running in 2016. They know a third-party candidate could really galvanize the people. They're scared of that. And so they're assassinating him, just like they're assassinating Rand Paul and Ron Paul and others right now with demonization campaigns. But he called me yesterday, and we're honored he's breaking this news here. He's got one of the top lawyers in the country, and you know, who's beat Vince McMahon, you name it. And he broke down some info that is so over the top and affects every American. Unprecedented. I'm going to let him tell you what's happened, but 50 top media outlets have all lined up with their money and their power to crush Jesse Ventura and everybody else's free speech and everybody else's right to a trial and defend themselves. They want, simply put, the right from the courts to lie and destroy people. And remember MSNBC, and my lawyer said I could win last year, but he said it would cost millions. Millions I don't have. He said, you can win. MSNBC said the bombers were influenced by Alex Jones and that Alex Jones is deeply racist, and showed no proof. A jury would probably award me that, but I just want my name. But see, I can't fight on every front. That's why I admired the fact that Ventura has spent incredible amounts of money, even though he was a well-to-do person. He spent a lot of it, is gone now, to get his name back. I mean, I can't give you the numbers. If he wants to do those, he can, but I happen to know that he didn't make any money on this. But he did the right thing, and now they're scared, they're lined up, and this affects everybody. Former Minnesota governor, TV star, movie star, best-selling author, former mayor, Jesse Ventura joins us back in the United States in Minnesota. He also hosts Off the Grid TV on Aura Television, very popular. Governor, I tell you, when you broke this down to me yesterday, it was staggering. You've learned more today. This is a big deal. Tell us exactly what's happened.
what's happened is this, Alex. I won the trial.